Right, I'm going to try and make this a quick one here. This is for the ready and the go. A couple of quick things we need to pay attention with this. This is more a review, as the ready and goes usually are, that we talk about. In the first one here, you should notice that this is in Vertex form, so it should be pretty easy to answer all of these questions. If you can't, ask, we'll help you out. All right. Number 2 is in standard form. And in standard form, it's hard to find the vertex and line of symmetry, but we can find the stretch, which A is the stretch. So A is A no matter what form, we talked about that. And what this tells me is whether it opens up or down also. In this case, it's -1, so it opens down. If my parabola opens down, it's going to be a maximum. I'm only going to get so high and then come down. So what about the other 2 aspects? Well, the other 2 aspects, this is what makes this problem so difficult, and this is why I covered this in class. We're going to convert this from standard to vertex form. When we do, we have to remember to divide A out of the first 2 terms. So when we divide A out of the first 2 terms, a negative divided by negative is positive, so it leaves me with x squared. Positive divided by negative is negative, so minus 10x. And then plus something, and I move the negative 18. Right? That's just part of the process. Divide A, move C. Now, from what we should recall is half of these minus 10x's go to one side of my model, half go to the other. Remember, if we have my little model right here? So right there, I should know that this is x minus 5 and x minus 5. Well, how did I get that 5? I took the 10, I divided it in half, and I squared it. So minus 5 squared. At this point, I should be able to build most of my vertex form, which is going to be f of x, y, whatever it is, -1 or minus, you won't see the -1, but I'll put it there, x minus 5 squared. That's most of it. I got to get the k value. So I can answer most of this over here just in that little bit. Well, what do you mean? Well, remember, if it's x minus 5, it's actually positive x. The line of symmetry and the x value of the vertex are the same. So the only thing I need is the y portion. This is where it gets tricky, because the a value is negative. Well, when I square -5, I get 25, and that's what's going to make this block right here a perfect square. Okay, pay attention, because it gets tricky. Remember, I'm adding 25 inside, but I have to find out how much am I really adding. In this case, I'm really taking away 25. Okay? So, because that would be this 4th section right here. If I'm really taking away 25, I must add 25. Remember, you got to do the opposite of what's there. So 25 minus 18 is actually +7. So that's my vertex right there. That way, it makes that one tricky, right? And that's why we reviewed it in class as well. For questions 3 and 4, we need to find the, given the x-intercepts of the parabola, write the equation for the line of symmetry. Well, again, what does the line of symmetry do? The line of symmetry divides the parabola in half equally. If that's the case, then I know if I pick a point on either side of my parabola, it's the same distance on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to draw myself a little map to help myself out, and I'm going to plot my x-intercepts. I know one of them is -12, and the other one is +12. So here's how I figure out where the middle of the road is. I take the total distance, which in this case from +12 to -12 is 24. I take that 24, I cut it in half, and that gives me 12. But 12 is not my line of symmetry. 12 is the distance from one side or the other to my line of symmetry. In this case, it just so happens that 12 minus 12 is equal to 0. I would go 12 spaces, and my line of symmetry is x equals 0. Right? Maybe that one didn't make so much sense because it was 12 and 12. How about the next one? The next one we're going to do, again, draw my line just for reference. This would be -8, and this would be +20. Looks somewhat realistic, right? Maybe -8's a little further over. What did we do? We applied the idea of what is the total distance. From 20 to 0 is 20, from 0 to 8 is 8, so that's 28 total units. I'm going to take half of that, 28 divided by 2, and I'm going to get 14. 14 would be close to 20, right? Doesn't make sense, it's in the middle, because in the middle, of these 2 points should be over here somewhere. Well, I'm going to go 14 units from the right to the center, or 14 units from the left to the center. Right? If I go this way, it's 20 minus 14. If I go this way, it's minus 8 plus 14, because I'm adding 14. Either way, I get x is equal to 6. So my line of symmetry is x equals 6. All right? Now a couple other ones here. One you should be able to do. The second one, no, you probably won't be able to do. And I'm going to buzz through this quickly because, one, you don't want to watch a long video. We're going to divide a out of the first 2 terms. X squared minus 3x plus something plus 7. And why am I buzzing through this real quick? Well, because follow the process of converting it. B, the new b value ends up being an odd number. What happens when b is an odd number? Well, it makes it a decimal. All right? Half of these 3x's have to go to one side, half have to go to the other. So that's x plus, excuse me, not plus, that's x minus 1.5, right? Don't make it a decimal. What you take half of becomes your x, or your h value. So as I begin to build the equation right here, I'm going to get x minus 3/2 squared. That's essentially a decimal. So right here I know negative 3/2. I've just got to find the y value, the vertex. The line of symmetry is x equals negative 3/2. The stretch is 2, and since it's opening up, it's going to be a minimum. Just in one little step like that, I ain't even finished. Okay? And I know, now I got to find my k value. Well, what's negative 3/2 squared? Negative 3/2 squared is going to be a positive 9/4. So that's what's going to go up here. Well, you got to learn to work with fractions. You have to. How much am I really adding? I'd have 9/4 in one model, but this is times 2. So I really have 18/4, so I have to subtract 18/4. And you're sitting there going, I can't do that. Sure you can. 7 over 1, because that's the denominator, minus 18/4. 4 is my common denominator. So you change the bottom, you got to change the top. You get 28 over 4 minus 18 over 4. You get 10/4, which is equal to 5/2. There's your k value. Right? You've got to learn to work with fractions. I know they're tough, but you just have to be persistent with them. Kind of the same thing here. All right, last one. We're going to divide by negative 4. So negative 4, and I'm going to do the first step real quick and see if you can figure out the rest. And then I'm going to be done. Negative 4, this is going to be x squared plus 6x plus something, and then plus 20 on the end. Well, again, half these 6x's have to go to one side, half have to go to the other. So if I'm going to build my equation in vertex form, it's going to be minus 4 times x, remember that's 3, so plus 3 squared. Right there, I automatically know. I haven't even done really much of anything yet, and I can tell you most of the version of most of these answers. This is going to be minus 3 and something. Line of symmetry is x equals negative 3. The stretch is negative 4. And since it opens down, it's going to be a maximum. The only other thing I have to figure out is what's my k value? And that comes by 6 divided by 2 squared equals 3 squared, which is 9. And this one's nasty again because arrows of thought tell me how much am I really adding. Well, I'm really subtracting 36, so I must add 36. So plus 36, so that's plus 56, because 36 and 20 is 56. You should be able to do the rest of those. Make sure you get your work in.